All right. All right, mate. Over to you. Use the boss.
Godspeed, Mark.
All right. All right. Okay. Let's do this. The mind of the medium is of sufficient plasticity so that we may move quite freely into our discussion and be of influence. Influence to his body to such a degree that we are, at least at this moment, unhindered. So today we will talk about some common problems with blending, connecting with spirit and mediumship. And we will have time for some questions. You may ask questions on your personal issues regarding problems with your mediumship, and we will endeavour to answer them. This, of course, is our last session just for a few weeks. And when I return, I will talk about the next sessions and talk about our topics and also our direction. So without further ado, I step back and allow the other personalities to come forward so that they may talk with you. There is a potential of a second personality today. But let us see how we go. I will return at the end. We're having a bit of a break and I feel like I'm just getting into the swing of it. Kind of enjoying these moments now. Been doing lots of singing recently over the last week. Must have sang about half a dozen tunes, all sorts of different styles, and it's kind of just warms me heart just a little bit, and it kind of makes you feel all. Don't singing make you feel good? Have you ever found that? Anyway, look, let's get back onto the point. You know what I'm like. I'm easily distracted, and it's time to get started. I've got to talk about problems today that people can face, and not just problems for their mediumship, but problems in their process and their comprehension of what they're actually doing. You see, there's really, in essence, three types of problems, and that is can be summed up anyway with being ready, willing, and able. Now, this ready, willing, and able bit also sums up whether a spirit will actually come to connect with you. So, for example, you can often find that some people, if you are a medium, will have trouble bringing through certain people or certain relatives. So let's say your best friend shuffles off the mortal coil and joins us in the land of wonderful. Well, he may decide that he ain't ready, willing, or able yet to make the connection. He's not ready because he hasn't fully transitioned if it's in the early days, or ready because he doesn't know how to do it. He hasn't learnt the process. He doesn't understand what's going on. He doesn't understand all sorts of issues about linking with a medium. From our side, this is. So it may not be ready at all. So it's very possible that you may not hear from somebody. And it may be years, or it may never occur in some cases. Not only have got to be ready, they've got to be willing and able, but that's all part of a discussion from another time, maybe. But from your side, because that's what we're really here to talk about, from your side, you've got to be ready, willing, and able yourself. You've got to be ready to do the work and make the commitment. Able as in you've learned your skill, and willing to do it at the times that it occurs. Now, over the last, I think this is number 12, over the last 12 weeks, you'll notice that we've talked about the process and the actual foundations of making connections and the foundations of how to heal and to be psychic and mediumship and all that. The foundations are really multi-layered. And often during these talks, we've talked about the psychic centers, the energy centers, the chakras. And we've talked about them making sure they're open, they're cleansed, and they're vibrating at the right rate and the right chakras for the right skill. So if you remember, the solar plexus and the heart, very much the heart for any type of psychic work and also healing work, because these are the emotion centers, very much the throat and the crown for trance, and also the third eye, throat and heart for mediumship. Now, if you think about these as being fundamental, a lot of the problems that can occur with people is they ignore the foundations, and they ignore and rush through. They're trying to get from, let's do a message, who have we got here? Without going through the starting bit and making sure the engine's all warmed up. So again, if this is the case, then when you have issues and problems, coming back to those foundational levels can really be of assistance. Not because solely anyway to get the job correct, but also to make sure that you are fully working in the right way. So for example, and I did mention this in a talk, that if you want to connect mediumship, you need to open the correct chakras, and it is very possible to link psychically with a person and tell them all the information that sits within their energy system, and it can look like mediumship. But it's not, no connection to spirit has necessarily been made. So if you are doing a connection with somebody and your solar plexus and heart is activated, here, of course, a little bit of awareness will help, then you'll know that you are linking psychically. If you want to raise it into mediumship, you need to change the vibrational level, in which case that vibration will be reflected by the activation of other chakras. So you can tell where you are. So if you think or you are unsure, you should look inwards. and then you'll see what is going on. And also, do not be surprised if during sessions it changes. As I have said before, there is reasons for this, and the changing may occur because of our side. We may make decisions or need to make decisions, which of course will be in your best interest. So, of course, it is very common for you to start linking with somebody psychically and then change to mediumship. And it is common, but less common, to go the other way around. I've always said there ain't no better or no reason that one is better than the other. One is dealing with the spirit that's past and one that's dealing with the spirits that's still on your physical realm. It ain't no difference. So you should be very much aware of where you are working from and also your vibrational rate. And it sounds a bit fancy, doesn't it, when I say you've got to beware of your vibrational rate. If all you heard was that phrase, you'd think I'm start raving mad, wouldn't you? But if you think of it from the points that I've explained, then it does make sense and it makes things clear. Do not be afraid of changing during your sessions of all the different skills available to you. Just be open to them all. You don't have to do just one, but of course you may specialize in just one aspect and may just be a healer, for example, and not interested in the other parts. But the true connection, and the true connection for any type of link with a client, if we call them clients, is to be open to every possibility. Isn't it of benefit that you could sit with somebody, you could connect with them and realize that there is a need for some healing, or there is a need for some mediumship because grandmothers appeared? So do not be afraid of jumping around unless you are choosing just to be a specialist. Now, there are other problems which can occur. And of course, let's ignore all these vibration and psychic bits just for a little while. The other problem, and the major problem that occurs with any type of spiritual link, is your thoughts. Your thought that you are either not capable, you're not ready, and you are not willing to do the work. People often think that I haven't opened up yet. I don't have this ability. I can't do it. Well, if you believe that, then you will prove it to be true. It may not be the truth, if you know what I mean, but you will believe it to be and act as if it is the truth. It is far better that you find out from an open mind. So it's quite common on your side that people say, I just do not get that information. I do not get it in the way it is. I get it all symbolically and not literally. You may say that, oh, I'm a healer, I don't have those abilities there. I can assure you, if you are a healer, you are a psychic at the same time. You may try to ignore that ability and concentrate on the other, but the ability sits. And as I've said before, we do not give the abilities to just one or two people. We give it to everybody. Everybody has the ability to work in these different ways. We don't just say you are just healer and you can't be anything else. You decide to be just healer. All the other skills then seem to diminish a little bit, and they don't go away, but they're just not focused on. Rather like that channel running through the field of rice. If it's not used very often, then it begins to fill up and it looks like it's never going to be able to be used. But with a little bit of attention, you can open it right up again. You see, people put their own blockages in and they use things like, I can't, as I've just said, but they also then quote other people if necessary and say, that famous person says, I can't do it this way, I've got to do it that way. And another person says, well, that's impossible for me. You are this, I am not this. You all have the ability, but for some it just works easier because that channel through the field is already there and it's already open and being used and capable to be used. Other people have to do a bit of pre-work before doing the skill. So everybody's got access to everything. And if you remember what Mr. Fancy Pants said, with all them fancy words, there is a body of knowledge that can be accessed. And I'm not going into much more detail than that. But that body of knowledge sits there and it's available for all. It's not available to just those that begin with B or anything like that. It's available for everybody. You see, your mind then creates the obstacle. And this is what we've said before. It is the physical world that creates the obstacle to the spiritual world. You remember that from ages ago? It is you that puts that veil between the two worlds, and that veil is one of, well, can be fear, can be other things. So you must watch your mind and watch how your mind says, nah, it's too hard. And watch how your mind also puts up all the other obstacles. You see, everybody's going to express in a slightly different way. You know, all the channels through the rice field look pretty similar, but I bet they all flow at slightly different rates. And some things happen for unexplained reason. Everything looks right, but it just works different. So if somebody's working and they're working extra well in one area, well, good luck to them. You can actually be there too if you want. Of course, you may have to do a little bit of cleansing yourself to get there, but you can. But you have the gift. The gift of the human spirit, the soul, means everything's there. Nothing's hidden. So don't be too scared of everything. So your common situations are to keep coming back to that foundational level, watching, is this true, or has my mind put an obstacle in the way? Am I connecting correctly? Are my vibrations right? And another really fundamental thing that really helps everybody, and again, these 3 points I am making will satisfy most issues with problems and difficulties. But this third point is you should get to know your spiritual counterparts, in particular your gatekeeper, and feel comfortable and trusting and listen to the communications and feelings that come from them. They guide you in very subtle ways and they are there to work with you. You will never have a mistake, a problem, an issue when you are correctly linked with through your gatekeeper to a guide or to directly into another spirit, because we cover everything then. The issues are always from gatekeeper downwards, i.e. you, not us. We work in your best interest. So if we've got all of our side fixed up, everything's ready, if you know what I mean, then really you can see that it's just your side of doing it. Now, within all these talks, what's been said before, over and over again, is just get out of the way, let us do the work, of course. So you can see now that the mind creates that little bit of blockage, that little bit of hindrance, that little bit of obstruction, that means the flow of information from our side to your side through your mouth or through your hands, whichever way it is. It is there that the obstacles occur. Can be nowhere else, because everything else is given to you and is free. So most problems, as I have said, will be resolved by looking at the mental barriers you put up and looking through the correct way of connecting through your psychic levels or your energy centers or chakras or whatever you want to call them. So if you're next doing a reading for somebody, test it yourself. Find out. Find out if it's true. Am I linking with this person right? Where is the energy activating at the minute? And see if it is happening for you. So as a consequence, let's carry this on to one stage further. That as a consequence, if you are getting things in your house that you are not comfortable with, or you don't know what they are, or you would like to gain more control of, well, that needs to take place. If it is through you, then it needs to take place through your mind to your gatekeeper, and that is where the conversation will need to happen. So you may say, I'm not happy with this. Can we change that? You're blending too close to me. Your energy's too strong. Pass the information back. Now, if what's happening to you is from a secondary or another disincarnate spirit that is not connected to you, so this is not for a reading or for any type of linking process, there just seems to be a spirit that's arisen, if you like, within the corner of your house. Well, they will take instruction. They have to take instruction. So again, the communication has to go through your mind, through to your gatekeeper, and talk to them about events happening that you do not like or want. And your gatekeeper then, if you can't do it yourself, will talk to this other spirit and say, calm down a bit, mate. Do you know what I mean? Or let's move on a little bit, try and find somewhere else, yeah? And of course, that goes back to last time when we spoke about psychic protection and a lost and lonely spirit wanting to give you a bit of a hug because they like your light. You can move them on if you wish. The worst case scenario that could happen with that is you may need a third party to come along who may specialize in that part, moving spirits on. And that, of course, is a specialized bit that you can, yet again, is available to you all. You can all do that if you want. You just got to learn it and understand what's going on. But if you can understand these foundational bits regarding your connections, then of course your answers will come from this as well. So when we get to the questions bit in a second, you'll find that the constant reference back will be to these areas for you to work with. So often that's where the solution lies. There are a few other minor bits that can be fixed up as well. So bits like comfort and sitting right and posture, you know what I mean, that type of stuff. And then there's things which add just a little bit better, make things just a little bit easier. The comfort, making the client feel happy, that type of thing. All these things are just, the small bits which make a difference, but they are relatively small in the scheme of things. So let me just repeat, just briefly, that the main obstacles are your mental realm and the correct connection through to your gatekeeper and onwards. And then also working with the foundational levels within your energy or vibration so it is attuned correctly for the correct work. Here it's activated because we're working in this way, etc. Be aware. Be aware. Now that's such a wonderful phrase, and if you notice that it will keep coming up. Be aware. Now, it's going to come up more in future talks, in the next series of talks. Be aware. You'll understand when we get there. There is a reason for that. Anyway, the awareness or being aware of it, again, is another foundational level which is beyond where we're talking about, but helps where we're talking about, if you know what I mean. Now, if you are developing the foundations I have given you and the levels we have spoke about are simply one of getting used to the working of the machinery, building up confidence and trust, making sure it all happens right. So if you practice these levels and open with them correctly, everything will work out right. Oh, there's one other bit I've forgotten, and that connects to last time, and that is remembering to close down. The closing down bit will stop your fatigue. So if you just shut up shop for a little while and say, all right, everybody, I'm going on holiday, I'll see you later, even if it's just overnight, then you will find your fatigue levels will be less, if you know what I mean. You'll feel more fresh. Often this is a problem as well, in that it's a simple act of talking about psychic or mediumship phenomena. Or I did a reading the other day, a lovely healing, the woman had a problem with her knee, whatever, will open you up. So inconsequential chatter can actually start and work through the process of opening everything up for connection. So it would not hurt you if, as you're closing your eyes and drifting on to slumber, to close yourself down and then be ready to willing to open yourself up when you wake up in the morning. If that's appropriate times, whenever your appropriate times are. So don't forget to close down. It also stops, sometimes you may notice within yourself, you just have a grumpy day, don't you? Eh? Just have a grumpy day for no reason. Some grumpy days come about because of thoughts and events. But the ones I'm talking about are grumpy days or days when you're sad and just want to be left alone. Well, these can be resolved by, and I'm talking about the ones which happen randomly, not specific events bits, but they can be solved by remembering to close up. And then you'll not feel drained as well. Some people can do work all day at readings and things, and then the next day they've got an old bunch again the next day to do, and they're drained, or they get drained when they're on their third, fourth, fifth, or something in a row. Making sure everything's working right will aid things. All right, that's normal. I've carried my conversation on for a bit longer than planned, but that's just the way I am. And now we got to open up to somebody wanting to ask a question about where they are, what they're doing, and their development. If you can keep it nearer to this topic, the better, but don't have to be. If you want to ask about your bit, you can. And we'll do what we can to answer us. Well, we'll answer it in a way, but we will not put you in a situation where we talk too privately, if you know what I mean. All right, now I think we got some questions, I hope. If we have, then I'm ready for it. So over to you. What do you want to ask?
First question goes to Michelle. Michelle, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Hi. I just had a question that in the past couple of years, but really in the past year, I've had a lot of vibrational changes occurring in my body. Like it's been insane. It's running up and down my spine, my legs, and just recently it's been in my heart and neck area. And I don't know exactly what. I have a feeling what it is, but I'm not sure exactly. And is this affecting my, not physical, my mental mediumship? Because I just noticed when this all started, I've been having trouble blinking.
Well, Michelle, I think I know you, don't I? I think we've spoken before. Anyway, love, what happens over a period of time is the vibrational rate of anybody that works, which becomes to such an extent that you start to become a clearer and clearer channel. All right. And as you become a clearer channel, then you start to activate and access energies which is dormant within you as well. So these are not just energies which are, can I call them spiritual or spirit related? They are also physical related. So as you are becoming more and more aware of your spiritual connection, you will find that in a period of time or over a period of time that the access to greater energy will become quite what's the word? It'll become quite available to you. So energy will be moving quite strongly up and down your spine. There is a need in particular for you to, again, close down, but also to connect to the earth. The energy you are building up has become quite excessive at times, and you will find that if you do not do the work or the suggestion I have made, you'll find that this will also affect your sleeping pattern. So again, excessive thoughts. There is also for you some issues to be cleansed around your heart. So a little bit of healing, shall we say, a bit of a flush to deal with some of the stuff that's lingering around there. There is also starting to happen for you more interested in this form of communication in addition to mediumship. If I am not mistaken, love, you have become more and more interested in, what do we call it? Trance work, channeling work, that type of stuff. And I don't mean listening. I think there is a calling and an interest to you. Now, if you can make sure this energy flows smoothly as opposed to intensely, if you get my drift, you'll find that everything will open very naturally for you. Your throat centers and your heart center again tells me of the ability for mediumship. There is a potential for you to develop audience, as in hearing, of course, but that will take a little bit of refinement. So it's rather like the channel is not smooth, but the energy is trying to push along it. So in doing that, then you'll find that there is a step backwards before a step forwards in terms of progress. So ground yourself, let the energy flow through smoothly. A little bit of healing around the heart and heart issues, or emotional, I should say, not physical heart, emotional heart. And then you'll find everything will work smoother. You'll find that your third eye as well will become quite strong. So the ability to see clairvoyantly will pick up in its intensity for you. You have the ability, my dear, if you wish to take it, to start sitting for this work that is being demonstrated for you now. And I think you already know that. I think within your mind there is resistance to it, but there is the possibility of it. It is your choice, my dear. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, but that ability is waiting for you. There also, if you would like to change this from one style of conversation into another style of conversation, because I can talk on different ways, you're also finding that you are awakening and understanding more about the way the world works. And I mean that there are some books that you read and have read, some information that has come through to you, and more comprehension of life beyond the physical, if you know what I mean. And I do not mean just from the point of mediumship and all them modalities. I mean to an understanding of what pure spirit means. You are awakening. And in awakening, you need to go through a bit of feeling and for the correct flow of energy and information to happen. Do not be surprised that if during periods of meditation, where you sit in the nice, calm, quiet spot, that you begin to feel more understanding. The energy wants to work very much closer with your heart, my dear. Your emotion, because you are an emotional driven person. But there needs to be a little bit of healing that takes place in that area. You understand at the moment there is a feeling with you that you are walking through mud as well, that you're not getting to where you want to get. Well, it's all happening okay. The issue is just that little bit of blockage, and kind of like getting like a boat can sail through water. But if it tries too hard, it becomes difficult, doesn't it? But if it just get everything working at just the right speed, just the right way, then everything works better. Rather like a stringed instrument. You can't tighten it the string too much, and you can't have it slack too much, if you know what I mean. The string. It's got to be all just about the right temperature, plus or minus a little bit. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You're kind of in a period of time of having a damn good flush, love. There's probably a more technical word for it, but it seems to fit the bill nicely here.
Thank you.
So have an internal shower, darling, and then you'll feel top of the world. And just get rid of that little bit of dust around your heart, and everything's happening very nicely. God bless you. Keep going, my love. Keep going. Do you know? All right.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question? All right.
Yes, it answers it completely. Thank you.
All right, and a little bit extra to boot. All right. We got another one.
Yes, we do. Thank you for that, Michelle. We have one from Gabrielle. If you want to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Shall I ask it, Brandon?
Yes, go for it.
Well, Charlie, you referred to me as sort of, if I understood you correctly, of being a little dramatic, and that I should stop playing around and get on with it. So would you be more specific so I can actually not have to guess at what you might have meant? But yeah, be more specific, please.
If you listen to what I just said before we took the questions, the actual bit of dramatic, what I mean is the mind can give you a less than pure link. So the mind can add drama to a situation. So, for example, there is weather, and then some people call it bad weather or good weather or wet weather or dry weather or windy or whatever. We, or more appropriately you, had descriptions to what is actually occurring. So it is very possible that people had add drama to an event. Now, what's really going on for you is the mind can take control, and the mind can put obstacles in the way, and the mind can put fears in the way in particular. And if you just realize and listen to what you are doing, you will notice that the mind at times has problems. It says, I can't do it. This is not where it is. This is not possible. I can't fit this in. And it's often a case when people want to practice different things, let's say even just exercise, but of course it could be mediumship related. They put reasons in the way of why things can't happen or shouldn't happen. This is the bit where we said before that the mind is then creating what doesn't need to be there. The mind is creating the veil. The mind is creating the obstacle. And all that needs to happen is then move the obstacle to one side and let the flow of energy happen really. My dear, you have a gift that you do not comprehend yet. You've got like a fear of it being too big and too good rather than not good enough. And I assure you that everything is working correctly with you, but you're just limiting it. And you're limiting it where you could be so much more if you want to be. And please don't think I'm saying that you're a bad person or anything like that. I'm not. I'm just saying that this is where the problem is, and you can easily step through it by watching the way that your mind is creating difficulty. And then in doing that, so if I say to you, and this is just hypothetical, I say to you, my dear, you've got to be on a stage next Saturday, and you're going to be presenting to 1,000 people or some big number in an auditorium. And then you'll say to me, well, I can't do that. I'm not that way inclined. I don't have a nice dress to wear or something, Oh, I'm busy next Saturday. It's my mother's birthday, or I've got to tend to the garden. And some of these are just obstacles that people create. And people think, well, I can't stand up in front of 1,000 people. I'm not capable of doing that work. Well, let us do the work. Let us be the ones which say what needs to be said, that gives the message in the correct way. Have you ever noticed, and I know I'm getting off a topic a little bit, but you ever notice that sometimes you'll get the same picture or the same message, but for one person you say it one way and another person you say it another way. Yeah, it's basically started the same way. Well, if that's true, then you are trusting that one thing is being correct for, let's say, Michelle, for example, the last person, and the same image for somebody else is another way entirely. So the act of being dramatic or drama is really the act of not having a clear mind, not having faith, trust, confidence. And I know there's somebody here that's going to do some readings, and they're probably going to go through the nerves of, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know why I should be doing it, etc. Well, it ain't your job to worry about that. It's our job to do it. If you had the fear, you won't. If you link with us, you will. Anyway, you've got more gifts than you think. and you got more ability than you give yourself credit for. You just put the reasons why you shouldn't use it together yourself. And if we can clear away that, my dear, sky's the limit.
Okay.
God
Making
bless
me
you.
feel sort of, yeah. Just making me
Remember, it's all said with love, darling. I ain't meaning to be too critical. I just want to encourage you on.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely feel some heavy emotion, but maybe that's just the fear showing itself so I can
Yeah.
see it and just overcome it.
Do you know when you're a kid, when you grow up as a kid, and you have fear about riding a bicycle or jumping off a diving board into water or the edge of a cliff into water or something, you know what I mean, or climbing a tree, there's fear. And that fear appears very real, doesn't it, when it first happens? And the truth of the scenario is you've got to jump off the rock into the water. And then you've got to get out the water, go and do it again and again until you feel comfortable with it. And that is the process of development. So if I can bring it back to the process that this medium went through, and it won't be no difference to anybody else, it's that when you first start to do it, you can start to practice, everything works right. You get told, yeah, I can do this, and you start to do it. And then along comes your first assignment, you know. Well, of course, then it's a different league, isn't it? Because you've now got fear and you're on the public domain, or you're accepting money for a paid event, you know, and you get all this worry about it. But when over a period of time, what he found was, well, you've just got to push through that. Your first reading's difficult. Your second reading's, well, yeah, it's tricky. Your third reading, oh, that could go backwards. I ain't no good. And the fourth reading, well, it seems to work a bit better. And you keep going. The issue is not starting. The issue is really giving up and trying not to do things. So again, if you ask him, the medium here, about the way it's worked for him, you'll notice he say it takes time. You've got to have that ability. So it's like really, let's say, kicking a football. So you can kick a football against the wall in the privacy of your own backyard, easy. That works out well. You decide to take it up a level. And then you do it, let's say, in a public arena. So that's now a stage more difficult. And then not only do you do it in a public arena, but then let's say you do it in front of a big crowd. And then instead of a big crowd, you've got this one particular kick you've got to make, which will mean you win the trophy or you don't win the trophy. More pressure. And then you've got to do it within the pressure of the personalities around you. So the degree of any type of work really is still just kicking a ball. It's all the other stuff that gets associated with it that makes pressure. And that pressure, when you really think about it, it's nothing to do with the link, nothing to do with the ability of foot against ball. It's to do with mind. The mind all of a sudden says, oh, can't do that, that's harder now, that's even harder, but it's still foot against ball, or spirit through the medium, if you want. Now, I ain't minimising it. I know things like this ain't easy, but you either believe in the fear or you believe in the link. You can't have both. If you believe in the fear, you just create more fear, more blockages, more, I cannot do that. If you believe in the link, you'll notice the fear start to rise in the body. Ooh, nerves. But if you believe in the link and trust in the link, is it true? At one stage, everybody has to ask the question, is it true? Do I believe in the fear or do I believe in the love? Do I believe in spirit or do I believe in the body? Do I believe in the mental obstacles or do I believe that, well, it's what I did yesterday? Anyway, you ask a simple question, you get a long answer with me. I'm afraid you perhaps just wanted a yes or no, but
No. I actually, it really helps me to sort of streamline and know I have to make a decision between fear and breaking through that fear. So that definitely helps a lot. Thank you.
you know, my darling, if I can be so direct, I suppose the word is, if I was to get out of the way here and say, you answer the next question, well, you can now feel the fear starting to rise. But I'm going to tell you, you could answer the next question by trusting it because you have that ability. Remember, everything is given to everybody. What this medium is portraying today, you have exactly the same. And everybody listening here has access to exactly the same. He never says, I've got something you haven't got. He just says, I'll help you to realise what you have got, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you have got what you need. You've got us.
Thank you.
God bless you, love. Have we got time for another one?
I think we do. We have a question from Eileen.
Hi, Charlie.
Hello,
So,
love.
how are you?
Do you know what? I've never felt better. As I said it right at the very beginning, I've been singing a lot lately and I've trying to be brightens everybody's spirit up a little bit. And in doing, have you ever noticed when you try to brighten somebody else's spirit, you brighten your own, don't you?
Yes.
You know what I mean? You cheer everybody else up, but there's no way it don't cheer you up. Anyway, that's what I've been doing.
And we love when you sing, so that's awesome.
Mm.
My question is this. It's really been amplifying a lot lately. I've been seeing repeating numbers like 444, 111. I've been hearing voices that other people don't hear. And I know I'm not crazy, but I'm also hearing tapping and knocking that other people might hear sometimes. And then I know it's spirit because they make a jolt in my solar plexus. And also my TM channels start to vibrate whenever spirit's around. So can I understand a little more of what is going on? Because it's definitely intensifying all of this.
You're in a spooky club, ain't you, lovely? Yeah. The whole room is your house, not just your room, but the whole house. It's actually got far more energy than you've experienced in another house, in the previous house. And the intensity within that house meant that you have gone up a level in terms of what you can access. So it's like you've walked into a fire, if you know what I mean, and now you've got access to more heat. And obviously, I don't mean that literally. And in doing that, then because of that, then all of a sudden the linking with spirit is stronger. The energy around the house, around you, because you also have made some changes. And I mean changes in your ability, your connection, and the ability that happens with you. Everything has gone up. Well, let's say it's gone up more than one notch. And would you agree with me that when you moved into this new place, that within a matter of a day or two, everything went from, I don't know, let's add a random number, from a number 5 to a number 7. You missed out 6, if you know what I mean. And so all of a sudden, all of this has kind of come together over the period of time that you've been working. And if I am not mistaken, you had a message about it not like long ago, but over a period of time, everything just seemed to click into place in this move, didn't it? It's like everything seemed to work exactly right. It's like there's been a clearing, and the old issues of holding stuff back because of past memories and past connections which were connecting to the old place has meant that all that ability has been left behind. All those, well, I'm going to call them issues, love. Maybe it's more memories than issues, but all of that has been left. Now, let me just change the topic very slightly, but it's exactly the same. Is if you are sitting, and I mean to everybody, if you are sitting in a circle or a development group or practice group or whatever you want to call it, and at the end of that day, that hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, at the end of that day, if you don't leave feeling invigorated that you've learned something, that you've progressed on, then you're going to find, assuming it's not just a one-off day, you're going to find that you're becoming a little bit stale and you need to make a change, of course. So you might shift to another group. Let's say you go from group 1 and you go into group 2, and let's get rid of any teething issues. But all of a sudden you make a step. It's like in that new group, you make another step forward. Do you know what I mean? And in doing that, what's really happening is you've had a bit of a freshen up. You've had a slightly different new way of working. There's fresh energy. So in having fresh energy, of course, the thing flows better. So I'm not talking about circles with you, love. It's more about where you live. But it's exactly the same process. So if you are constantly in one group and you're not getting anywhere, and you're not coming out thinking, I learned something today, I enjoyed that. You know, assuming it's not just a bad day, of course, everybody has them, then change yourself to another group and you'll find, again, once you've gone through the early days, you'll make a step. And that is purely because there is fresh energy around. Not necessarily because the teaching's any different. It may just be said in a slightly different way. But that's what happens. So anyway, back to you. So in essence, exactly the same thing has happened. It ain't the changing of groups for you. It is more the changing of the availability of different types of energy. And it's like changing to a new group, and you make a shift and you make a jump. And that's what you've done. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Can you accept what I'm saying, or do you think I should go to the loony bin?
Oh, no, honey, we're all going to the loony bin, but no, I totally understand what you're saying. It makes
All right.
total sense.
Well, I'll go to the loony bin just as a visitor to say hello to a few friends rather than checking in then, eh? All right. Well, I'm
Thank
glad
you.
that answers your question. Have we got time for one more, or do we need to wrap her up?
Yes, please. Let's just do one more quick one. This one's from Joy.
Hello, Joy.
Hey, Charlie. All right, I'm going to try to explain this right. I crossed a spirit this morning. He wanted to be called George. He wasn't a stellar spirit, so to speak. When I cross him, does he go to the same levels as when I pass, or if I cross somebody else that is in a human body?
Right. Do you mind if I change your words so I've got this clear? So what you did, you came across a spirit that hadn't made a transition fully into spirit, and you helped him across, and you want to know, does he proceed at the same rate as if he'd done it himself? Is that what you mean?
If I don't believe he's ever had a body. Like I have a body.
Well, let me tell you generally first, and then I'm going to answer it specifically for what you've just done.
Okay.
When anybody transfers from your side to our side, they buy a ticket and they say, right, I'm transferring. Okay. And of course it ain't like that. But anyway, they come to our side. Well, cutting out a few steps here, they'll only ever work at the level that they're vibrating at. So you cannot go to, let's say, a level 10 if you're vibrating at a level 3. So as a consequence, everything will work exactly right. And the processes and difficulties that can sometimes happen is generally with those that which have either newly incarnated, as in just had their first body or first couple of bodies, and are not used to the transitioning process between death and spirit, if you know what I'm trying to say. And because they ain't used to it, they may get not know what's gone on or how to do it. They may be also very attached to body or to place or to where they are, in which case they may resist going across into spirit. So, for example, I mentioned a little while ago, you might get a spirit which is just a little bit lost and lonely, not know where they are, and come and give you, because you're a light, give you a bit of a hug and hold on to you for a while.
Yes.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, was a talk last week or mentioned last week. All right. So what you actually occurred today, did you say George? You said George, I think, didn't you?
I did. He wanted to be called George.
All right, love. Okay, George is actually just a name that he didn't want to give his real or connected name for some reason. He
Right.
had been incarnated and he had passed on, and he was just having trouble with the process of moving forward. He was feeling a bit lost and lonely, exactly what I've just mentioned. He's kind of the perfect example for the scenario I spoke about. You'll find that you are the light, and you, because of the way you are and your open heart, you are the one which wants to help people in this situation. This is not the first time this has happened for you, has it? You've helped a few across, if you know what I mean. And
Yes.
because of that, then you kind of get yourself a nice little ticket above your head and say, I'll help the lost and lonely, if you know what I'm saying. And of
Yes.
course, you don't have that, but you know what I'm saying. And because you have the intention of being of service for, let's call it a master of transition. That's got a nice ring to it, isn't it? You're an
I like that.
you're an MT, a master of transition. Of course, I'm only having a laugh, but anyway, you have the ability to ease people through. Once people get to know you and understand you, they love your heart, darling, because you've got one of them loving hearts which makes people feel comfortable when you let them into you. Do you know what I mean? And see, the spirit person doesn't see you for your physicality, it sees you for your vibrational rate. And because you are open and accepting, then you feel safe. And when you feel safe, of course, you can attract people to you. But you should just put your own boundaries in just so that you feel comfortable.
Right. Okay.
And what you've done, you've just helped somebody over and through. And I want to just tell you that there was nothing negative about this person, because I know that's within your mind. This
Yes.
person was wholesome, just needed a bit of a kick up the bum, if you know what I mean. And you are the bum kicker today, and you've done a good service, love, and you've just led him by the hand and say, there is a light, mate. Go towards the light, you'll be all right. And it's quite a what's the word? Quite a big service to do. Remember, these are the people which have may only passed once or twice. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Or had a body once or twice. So as a consequence, it is a potential that these people are, let's say, an early days through this process, and they may, but not always, they may just be on a lower vibration.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean they are negative. Don't think that they're negative. I'm not saying that. That they just need a little bit of assistance.
Okay. So depending on their vibration is depending on what level they go to. Okay, that makes
Yep.
sense.
So when if you're new, do you know what I mean? Imagine your first day at school. When you go to school, you walk through the gate and you go, now what? Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
along comes a nice friendly teacher and say, Come with me, lovely. I'm going to take you to where you got to go. It doesn't mean that they're a raving, crazy lunatic. Do you know what I mean? They're just a newbie. But of
Okay.
course, the newbies have to start at the first level 1, year 1. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so
Thank you.
you're that nice, friendly teacher that greets people at the gate every now and again. A master of transition. It's kind of got a nice ring to it, isn't it?
Thank you, Charlie.
God
Thank you.
bless you, love.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think I've done my questions. I hope they've been clear. I hope you've understood what I've said. And I just want to leave you with 2 things, if I can limit it to 2 things. The first thing is just be aware of what's going on. Listen to your body, listen to your mind, see if it's real or not. Or are you putting the obstacles in place? Be aware. So that's the foundational bit for your development and will answer most problems. All right. The second thing is well, have a lovely Christmas, everybody. Enjoy your time. Remember to have love in your hearts and be kind. God bless you all. All right. I'll see you again soon. Take care. Ta-ra.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Next time we'll leave enough time for you to sing a song to us.
Mm.
Peace to you and be well.
Oh, all right. I'll
Thank you,
start
Charlie.
practicing something special for you. God bless you. The next time we meet, we will conclude this series of topics and we will talk about the correct way to blend and to link with spirit. And we'll talk about the process, the way it happens and why it happens. But that will begin in our next meeting. This, of course, will be also foundational so that you may understand this process. And then on, in other series of talks, we will go deeper and deeper into the processes of what happens and why, so that you may understand fully or as fully as we can give to you at that time about who you are and the truth of yourself. It is often during these processes that you may start to learn, let's say, mediumship and the modalities. But when you go into the topics that I alluded to then, as we go deeper, you may begin to understand that it is not just about mediumship. This, of course, is but one expression. We'll talk about ways in those talks about how to bring us more into your life, how to feel us, see us, and work with us during your decision-making processes. Again, there are many topics we could cover, but we will pick the ones appropriate for that time. and where your understanding and learning is. You will be very much aware, I hope, that the last series of talks have been educational. They have not been with the intent of giving lovely words and knowledge. They have aimed to be practical. And maybe we could have called the talk Spirit in Practice. So I too step back now and leave with wishing you all a Merry Christmas. God bless you all. May peace be within your hearts, and you find that love exists there as well. God bless you. Shivers. Hey. Hey, Gabrielle, you're here too. How you doing? Well, hope that was good. There you are. Over, over and out. I guess there was questions, I think, and well, the intention was questions, so I presume there was. And
Yes.
whoever asked, got the answers you needed. So hope it worked well. Got some clarity, I hope.
Mark, do you think you'll ever run a workshop specifically on the mediumship side, having loved ones come through with messages?
You mean via trance?
Yes.
The intention is yes. The time frame or fitting things in with time is a little bit of a problem, but yeah. List down. I've got a list of all these things I want to get to. Incidental. I'm calling them incidental things. I don't mean to minimize them, but let's say not cool. List of things there that to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 there. So, for example, a development circle for children or teenagers. Other things, teacher training, physical mediumship, experimental communication with loved one. Some of them obviously are not just one-off things, they're a bit more. I go away early January. I'm back on the 9th, which is a Saturday, our time. So the next session will be my time, the 11th of January. If you're in the US, it'll be the 10th of January. Anyway, be then.
All right. Lovely.
So I kind of didn't answer your question